Welcome to the Kindness Project, the podcast designed to share stories of kindness and share how kindness can make positive change in our world, one small act at a time. This time on the Kindness Project, Stacking It, Alexa, and we have part 2 of our interview with Holly Price Manish Nanda from the Westminster Drug Project. Welcome to the Kindness Project. I'm joined by a girl who seems to fall on, over, off virtually everything in Charlotte Ames.
And I'm stumped for an intro. So So this is the old man Chris Dames. He's a bit alright, isn't he?
For an intro off the cuff, no one about a new intro actually. I like it. Right, now on last week's podcast, at the end, you told a story about how you fell over a rock. Was it a rock or a stone?
I don't know, it was something grey and hard. I just assumed it was a rock or a stone.
Could have been a fossilised poo. You either fell over a rock, a stone, or a fossilised feces. And headbutted a cat. Fell on a cat.
Fell on a cat, stomach first.
Stomach first. So did your head hit the floor?
No.
You put your hands out?
Yeah, I put my hands out. My stomach went on the cat, and I pushed myself up, and the cat ran away.
So if there was a stone about, I'm assuming you did this outside.
Yeah.
Whereabouts?
Down a road somewhere. I think it might have been down our roads.
Down our road?
Yeah.
So cats walked along.
I stacked it, and I fell on top of the cat, and I pushed myself up, and the cat ran away.
Right. Whose cat was it?
I don't know.
Right. How did that, the odds of you falling on a cat? Because cats are quite nimble creatures, aren't they?
Yeah.
So the cat didn't duck out of the way, the cat didn't avoid. You fell on a cat. What was the cat doing? Just chilling on the road?
Walking.
It was walking?
Yeah.
You fell on a cat?
Yeah.
I'm just confused. I'm just really confused. Tell me a time when you fell over on or off something.
I have tripped. I trip over my own shoelaces a lot.
Yeah, we all do that.
My foot does this weird thing where it bends sideways, and then I fall whichever direction my foot bends.
Okay.
I slide off a lot of chairs. I slide off a lot of benches. I accidentally sit on a lot of broken chairs at school. I once sat on a chair and got gum on my skirt.
Oh yeah, that's standard at school though, isn't it?
Yeah, but it was first period, and I was just.
Oh no, you don't.
I went around with my hands covering my skirt the whole day. I was like, yeah.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to do that first period.
No.
So, I think you probably know what we're going to ask you, dear listeners, because this week's question of the podcast is: what's the weirdest, strangest, most unusual thing you've either fallen on, fallen off, or fallen over? And you get bonus points
for cats.
For animals, and you get a bonus points if you've fallen off something and then over something and then onto something else. The more combinations of off, on or over falling wise, you get bonus points.
You should get bonus points. You fell out of an airplane.
Yeah, but that was intentional. I meant to do that. I think like a fall or a trip is only really, really funny if you do it by accident.
I've tripped over my own shoe.
Yeah.
My shoe came off. I didn't realise, and I took another step and tripped over it.
What? You know what? Like you talk about falling out of a plane. If I would have fallen out of a plane onto a cat, that would have been amazing, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Fallen out of a plane, tripped over
bench.
a bench, landed on a bench, and then landed.
Forward rolled off the bench and onto a cat. I forward rolled down the stairs when I was a kid.
Onto what?
Pile of dirty laundry.
Pile of dirty laundry, yeah, but you expect it to be at the bottom of the stairs, don't you? But yeah, what of you, dear listener, fell on, over, or off? Bonus points if you combine any of those three things. Would you tell our amazing listeners where they can get in touch with us without falling on, off, or over your chair, or on, off, or over the podcast, mate.
Okay, so we got this magical thing called Twitter. Just can't stumble over my words.
Yeah.
So I got this magical thing called Twitter, and if you go to Twitter, it's genius. This is. You go in the search bar and you put @HollyKindness. And we just
with an H.
Yeah, we just kind of pop up, and our mugs are on the screen. I think.
I don't think they are, are they? I don't know.
If you keep scrolling, they'll be there eventually.
Eventually, yes.
And then we've got Facebook, and it's got another magical search bar, which honestly I have no flipping idea how they work.
Search bars in general. You're not sure about
Nah.
search bars
I just use them. Google is fascinating. Honestly, the amount of things that has.
Yeah, you know what? Google is good. I'm not loving Alexa. Alexa hasn't got a clue. You ask Alexa most stuff, and it's like
She can play my music. It's great.
yeah, I know, but like for what's considered a smart speaker, she's a bit limited, isn't she? Like if that's artificial intelligence, I'm not worried.
I don't think that is artificial intelligence. I think I missed one.
What?
Not on my NatBytes. I mean.
Email,
yeah. Holler@thekindnessproject.co.uk, and you just kind of email us or Gmail us or whatever email you use.
email us, Gmail us, Bmail us,
Freemail us.
Freemail us, AOL.com us.
Physically post something to us,
Yeah.
and then we will be so much more
Right,
impressed.
genuinely, we started this last week. You are going to get bonus points for physical answers on a postcard. If we get a postcard. Now, I think it's a little bit dangerous if we post our address, because we haven't really got like a PO box for the podcast, because nobody uses postcards anymore. But if we know you, if you're a friend of the show, and if you're listening to this, tweet us in. We will give you an address to send it to, and we will accept answers on a postcard.
And we really should be keeping track of who's getting these bonus points.
What do you mean?
I mean, you keep saying bonus points for this and bonus
We
points
have to get a postcard, yeah, haven't we?
You were saying it for the cat thing, the trip thing.
That'd be easy to track. So, please feel free to get in touch, and we look forward to hearing from you soon.
Yup.
Should we get on with the show?
Oh, yes.
So this week we've got the second part of our interview with the guys from WDP Cards. In this we talk a lot more about how the card helps people who have had tough times re-engage with the community, and how it really helps people get back on track. And then we answer a few questions of the podcast.
Ooh.
Should we listen to the interview?
Ooh.
You know what? It's one of my. I've got to agree with that. It's one of my. It's like my version of pampering, going to my local Turkish barbers and having a. I could shave myself, obviously. I've got no problem with that. But just going to the Turkish barbers and getting a haircut and shave, I always come out feeling a bit better.
Exactly. That was really, I knew I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I knew that most of my mates enjoyed it, and I thought, our services are going to be no different.
Yeah, right.
There was a time when we were really struggling in getting chaps to come to our service on the day of release from prison, and that can be the most risky time for people. You generally get released from prison with 46 quid in your pocket and very little else.
Yeah.
You've gone from having actually the structure of a prison environment to be booted out of the door and told to go to this appointment, and we found that a lot of people weren't coming, and that was really concerning, because certainly if people had previously been heroin dependent, if they'd just gone out and used immediately after being released from prison, they really run the risk of overdosing and potentially, passing away. So we had to think creatively about how we could encourage these chaps to come into our service on the day of release.
Okay.
So, I'd go to the prison and say, not only if you come to us will you get, a substitute prescription, you'll get your methadone or Subutex if that's what you need, and you'll get support with all the other things going on in your life. But actually, on top of all that, you'll also get a haircut or a clean shave. And over time we saw more and more people coming in, and that to me proved that, just by some small incentives, we could encourage with Holly and her team and other people across the organisation, we've since expanded the capital card scheme to include a whole range of companies that are now invested in the scheme, and the outcomes are really quite fantastic. So.
Yeah. And all from a barber shop haircut, eh? That sounds like quite a good expansion.
Absolutely, yeah. It's funny how those things happen, but inspired by a Tesco club card and a free haircut.
Yeah.
You can make miracles happen.
Yeah, it's interesting, but there's an element. I think when I was looking at your projects, doing some research for today's interview, what sprang to my mind is just giving the opportunity for people who have had a really tough time and potentially want to get back in society, a feeling that they're now part of society again, and there's businesses out there that will have committed to support them. I mean, for me, that was shining through loud and clear, and that's what you expect from businesses, right? You support our users.
Yeah, I think, in terms of even the smallest things like a haircut, dramatically increasing your self-esteem.
Yeah.
That's going to lead to more positive choices on the day, but also service users coming out of prison, for example, they're not walking into a job typically.
Yeah.
Going to an interview in itself is quite a daunting prospect.
Yeah.
So being able to maybe have a haircut before going to a job interview, and then some of our other spend partners, typically when you're in active addiction, you're generally not going to the cinema or connecting with your local community or those around you necessarily. So just being able to offer our service users the opportunities that they might not otherwise have, whether that's because of the circumstances they're in financially, or that they're actively using, or that relationships with family or friends might have broken down whilst they're using, and being able to offer them those opportunities. I mean, it's definitely why I come to work. Yeah, they're the most moving parts of the work that we do. There's so many examples of our service users that are now benefiting from the capital card, telling us of times where whenever they've gone to see their parents, the old stereotype. It's potentially sometimes to nick a tenner out their purse or something, but actually now they can go and say, well, actually, I've been addressing my drug and alcohol problem, but at the same time, I've also benefited in a way that I'm now able to take you to the cinema or
Yeah.
to the theatre. And it might seem quite trivial, or it might be the things that people that are in paid employment take for granted, that they could do that, whenever they felt like they wanted to. But for our service users, it's really opened their eyes up to some level of normality, and they feel again that they have a stake in their local community.
Yeah.
We've been really touched by all the different types of businesses that have supported it. It ranges from a really nice cinema in Hackney, it's called the Genesis Cinema or Rio.
Yeah.
To a local coffee shop or a bike shop. They range from small businesses to quite medium to large sized businesses that understood what we tried to do and have really wherever they
Supported
really
you.
supported it and helped
Yeah.
with it. So I think the good thing now about technology and things like the sharing economy, it is encouraging people and businesses to try to think about how they can make best use of everything that they offer and try to limit the amount of waste.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we try to jump off the back of that and say, well, actually, you might have inventory or stock that's going out of date or that's not getting used. Actually, put that to better use, and as a charity, we can do something with it.
Yeah.
And more now, we're seeing companies, understand the role and responsibility they have for their local community and wanting to give back.
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
We're finding that our service users are becoming really loyal to these companies as well, that are supporting them in kind of the hardest times. So that local coffee shop in Hackney, who's allowing our service users to go and get free coffee after their appointment. We're finding that not only our service users but their families as well are becoming more loyal to those
Yeah.
companies who are supporting them in the hardest times.
Yeah.
So I think
No, I love it.
Recognising kind of the greater impact of a line. So if you just, I don't know, come into the cinema and get a free ticket when the cinema would be empty anyway, but the film would still be showing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me ask just a mildly challenging question, just because I'm curious. What opposition do businesses potentially have against entering into the WDP card scheme, and how's that conversation typically go when you talk to them about that?
I think one of the biggest challenges we face sometimes is around stigma in all.
Okay.
So, understandably, sometimes companies might be concerned about the brand or concerned about the, for want of a better term, types of people that may be coming in and accessing
Right.
it. But I think the way that we overcome that and has been really successful to date, and actually the feedback that we're getting after becoming, forming partnerships with these companies,
Yeah.
and seeing this too, is that the service users who are using the capital card aren't just, we're not rewarding them for actively using, we're rewarding them for doing something positive and
Yeah.
making positive choices and changes. So every time they come to any kind of intervention with us, they earn 10 capital card points.
Yeah.
And in order to go to, for example, the cinema, they need 50 points. So that's going to 5 really meaningful, positive and purposeful activities. They've earned that. They've earned their cinema tickets.
Yeah.
They're making positive changes. And it's something that incentivises them to do so as well. If they want to go and see the latest film at the cinema, they need to come to enough interventions and, put in the work. And I think that's, so the stigma is probably the biggest challenge we face, but I definitely feel that the capital card is helping to change that and
Yeah.
alleviate the stigma.
Yeah.
I think it's fair to say that for every company we might come up against that does still hold some of that stigma, I think we find one that doesn't. And to me, I think that's representative of, the vast majority of people I talk to these days or ask me about the work that I do, it never ceases to amaze me that everyone has, by what degree of separation, some experience.
Yeah.
Whether it's
Yeah.
someone in their family, whether it's a friend, whether it's someone they know, a colleague, someone has always experienced some form of addiction, whatever it may be. And so there is generally empathy out there and a level of understanding. And, there's lots of times when we've approached a business who, we've thought it's a punt, will probably say no. And it just so happens the person we've spoken to says, well, actually, my uncle
Yeah. Yeah.
or a friend, I lost a friend of mine to drugs, and they understand that actually these aren't people that you just want to discard. Actually, you want to embrace them, you want to help them, you want to do what you can, and that motivates them to then try to get their business to back what we're doing. And that again, what I said at the very beginning about, I think that belief that we have in this organisation that intrinsically people are good.
Yeah.
That exists, out there in the normal society as well. And it's not just we that think that. The vast majority of people, I think, deep down, if you communicate what you're trying to do in a positive way, they will understand.
You know what? I completely agree. I think most people generally positive, but they go through certainly some challenging times. But I think part of the work that you guys have got is to break down some of those perceptions. And certainly when we would go out and speak to people, that's not only perceptions with business holders. I had a conversation with a leader of a local authority about homelessness a few weeks ago, and his comment was, but the majority of homeless people are professional beggars. And that disgusted me a bit, to be honest, because that's taking a really nuanced and complex problem and putting it in a box. And I think the challenge we've got is to make people think a bit more deeply about these issues instead of just saying that we're going to solve that problem by just pretending it's not there. Do you know what I mean? Because that just clearly doesn't work.
Yeah, I mean, that's
Yeah.
or approaching things as like the lowest common denominator.
Yeah.
You know, we understand that there might be people that make certain choices for a reason, and that's what they do at that time. But also, again, I keep repeating myself, but I firmly believe that actually, if you give people enough opportunities to make the right choice, or to give them an opportunity to improve, wherever they may be in their life, that will prevail. And that's why we've got loads of people that come in and out of our services, and can be quite difficult at times, quite challenging, and might be presenting as if they don't want the help that's on offer. But actually, what our job is to do at that point is just to plant enough seeds that in the future they will remember, actually, that person I saw at that service, wherever it may be, hasn't given up on me. They always meet me with joy, or they always offer me a cup of tea, or whatever it may be, and they always offer me, an opportunity to get involved with what they're having to offer.
Yeah.
Why don't I go back there now? I'm ready for it.
Yeah.
I'm ready to try to make some small changes. They seem like a good bunch, and now what we're saying, we're still going to be there, but actually, with the support of all these businesses in our local community, there's lots more that we can offer you.
Yeah.
And I only see it as a positive and something that we think can grow.
And it's building that community of support, isn't it? For me, when I look at your scheme, it's looking at saying, if you had a community of local business people supporting what you do by supporting the people who use your service, why not? Do you know what I mean? You build your network that way. So you spoke about the expansion of the charity. I know you're heading. Was it the northeast you're off to now? Northwest, sorry. I got completely the wrong side of the country. But what other future plans have you got for expanding both the charity and the capital card?
Essentially, WDP and the capital card go hand in hand. It is what we do. It is part of our core offer. We firmly believe that this is a really positive way to try to encourage people to make good choices in their life. And I could foresee a time where this isn't just on offer for people with addictions. This could be used for people that want to improve their health just in general, whether it be losing weight, whether that might be around diabetes, whether it's around housing or mental health. This concept of incentivizing people for positive choices. There's more and more evidence that is a way to support people, and we want to be growing what we do and offering our services no matter what it is. Essentially we're a behaviour change organisation. Our bread and butter is working with people with addictions, but by no means is that limiting us. We can apply this concept to other areas of health and social care. I don't see any reason why we couldn't be expanding it into the National Health Service, and why we can't be using that same principle to say to people that potentially don't take their medication when they should. It's a huge cost to the NHS, or don't turn up to appointments. We all hear about how much it costs when you don't go to a GP appointment, or you don't go to an outpatient hospital appointment. All those things cost society and us, far more than we probably realise. And I think by making some small incentivisations, actually investing up front, you end up saving far more further down the line. And if it brings us closer together in terms of small, medium, large-sized businesses that vicariously end up taking a greater stake in their local community, then it's just win-win for me.
I think you're right as well. Those sort of behavioural nudges. I'm an amateur sort of fan of social psychology books, and there's a great book by a guy called Richard Thaler, who wrote a book called Nudge. And it's amazing when it talks about the fact, but actually it's interesting when you talk to people about this, and they say, yeah, but this is nudging somebody in a direction they may not want to go to. But we actually, as humans, we rely on nudges. We rely on people reminding us to do stuff, and we rely on that social interaction. But I agree. I think having more positive nudges in our life can't be the worst thing in the world. So before you tell us a little bit about where our listeners can find out a little bit more about you, we do a little thing on the podcast. Every week we ask our listeners just a fun, random question, just not related to kindness, but just as a bit of fun, just to ask people what their answer would be. So I'm going to share a couple of those questions with you, and I'd like you to answer. So the first one is, if you had your own intro music, what song would it be? Okay, do you want to? I'll tell you what I'll do. While you're thinking, let me give you another one. What's your favourite Sesame Street character or Muppet?
Mine's Big Bird, but that's just come into my head.
Big.
I think I saw. Aren't they doing the toys in Uniqlo at the minute? I think I may have seen them over the weekend, and that's why that's in my head.
Mine would be the Count.
Awesome. Yeah, the Count was good.
Always cracks me up, and I like numbers. So boring, stereotypical Indian man. I like numbers.
Yeah, the Count's good. You're both wrong, by the way, because Animal, definitely, out of all of our listeners, Animal was the outstandingly won the prize for the world's most favourite, or our listeners' most favourite Muppet. Let me give you one more. What's the best piece of advice you've ever had?
Oh gosh. Best piece of advice.
There's lots. But I think for me, it would be acknowledge what you don't know.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people sometimes want to be seen to be having all the answers.
Yeah.
I think I've got a pretty good bullshit radar, and generally if someone's trying to have me on, I can call them out on it. So
Yeah.
I always try to make sure that actually if I get asked something that I don't know or I'm not too sure about, my first response is to own that and not try to wing my way through it.
Yeah.
Be honest, be sincere, find the answer out later.
But even if you don't know, just find somebody who can help you with it, right? You know, it's just that look, don't know, but I can certainly try and find somebody who can support me with that. And I think people prefer that as an answer. Holly, how about you? What's the best piece of advice you've ever had?
Similar vein, but mine would be accept the things you can't change, because I think it's quite easy to get wrapped up in and get stressed about things. Sometimes you actually just cannot change.
Yeah.
You have to accept that and find a solution, even if that means that the actual issue is still there.
Yeah.
Finding a solution elsewhere.
I've been reading a lot of books about Stoicism recently, and Stoicism, effectively one of the philosophies around Stoic belief is just if you can't change it, don't worry about it, because there's no actual impact on it because you can't do it. And last one, what's your favourite piece of trivia ever? I thought I'd finish with a really easy one. Okay, Okay, look, don't worry. That is quite a difficult one. Tell me a little bit about where people can.
Postcard.
Sorry, I didn't hear that.
I'll think about it throughout the day. I have to got a postcard.
Look, if you email me later, I'll make sure we put in the podcast, Holly. All right. Where can people find out a little bit more about you?
So we've got both the WDP website, which is just www.wdp.org.uk.
Okay.
We've also got a Twitter page as well, which is @WDP_charity. And then to find out more about the Capital Card, we have our own dedicated website for that as well, which is www.capitalcard.org.uk.
And just.
Twitter as well, which is @WDP_capitalcard.
Okay, cool. And just remind our listeners of the locations the Capital Card's in currently.
So we're currently in 8 London boroughs, but as of next year that'll be expanding to 9 London boroughs and Cheshire West and Chester. So currently we're in Hackney, Havering, Harrow, City of London, Brent, Barnet, Redbridge and Barton Dagenham.
Amazing. Thank you so much for your time today. I've really enjoyed chatting to you, and hopefully we'll speak again soon. So that was it. What did you think?
Ooh.
Standard answer now.
Would you like me to go back to the Churchill dog?
The what?
The Churchill dog.
I'm sure our listeners have been missing the impression.
Oh, yes.
Well done. Should we get on with the end of the show?
Oh, yes.
I thought you were going to go, woo! So, tis the end!
Tis the
Bit loud.
end! Exactly, I'm so much more dramatic and I love it.
You've broken my audacity thing again.
I'm sorry for ruining your
But the end is never the end, because what do we have?
question of the podcast. Woo.
And this week's question of the podcast, taken from last week, is: you're opening a restaurant. What do you name it? What would the signature dish be, and how would you make it unique? So, we had a few answers for this. Let me tell you what they were. But can you remind us of your answer, actually, Charlotte?
I said I was going to open a place called Last Remains.
Right.
And you just take people's leftovers and you shush it up.
You shush it out.
You shush it up and you make it better and you give it back to them on a plate.
Right, okay, you shush it out. So if somebody brings you a plate, right,
Of
food, and then you shush it up.
Yes.
And give it back to them.
Yes.
Right, I'm going to give you some dishes, and you're going to tell me you're going to shush it up.
Yep.
Tomato soup.
Well, we can use it as a tomato saute and make it into bolognese.
Bolognese.
We can take the meat and we can form them into meatballs or put them through a meat grinder and make sausages. And the pasta we can make into pasta because...
Well, what are you going to go for? Meatballs or pasta? Meatballs or sausages?
Sausages.
Sausages. I'm bringing in sausages.
Okay.
Literally, every time you make me something, I'm just bringing it back in. Sausages.
Well, with those sausages, I will make you pigs and blankets.
Okay, piece of blankets.
With those pigs and blankets, I can make you a cook's breakfast.
Fry up.
With a fry up, I can make you a nice bagel.
How dare you?
With that fry up, I can make you a portable breakfast.
This has gone way too far. What are you going to put in the roll? I seem to be just getting more stuff than instead of a recycled food. But never mind. Let's go with it. This is what our listeners said, and they had some comments. Paul Kelly said free food he'd call his restaurant. Natural food, free from anything unnatural. Cookie, John Cook said cookies, and he'd call it cookies. Amanda Smith said eat clean restaurant. Her signature dish, a meze of really clean food. David Forsdyke said Fozzie's omelettes. My signature dish is the tandoori curry omelette and the pizza omelette. I quite like the pizza omelette. And Friday Mystery said, my restaurant is called Nourishing Soul. Signature dish is Pinch of Life. Come try it. It'll enrich the soul. That's quite spiritual, that one. I quite like that one. Louise.
Is it spicy? I don't like spicy food. No, I'm just kidding, I love spicy foods.
And you enrich my soul. Louise McNamee says, Tony's top notch. Signature dish will be surf and turf with lobster tails and an optional side of peas and blankets just for you. Cheers, Lou, appreciate that. And Nathan Fryer said, Roast Busters. If you're feeling peckish and you're in the neighbourhood, who are you going to call?
Roast Busters!
For takeaway roast dinners or takeaway delivered cakes. I quite like that. I still prefer my remains of the day to your what remains beyond or whatever it was. Last remain. Your comment sounds quite morbid. But that, my friends, is all the answers we've got time for this week. And we'll look forward to speaking to you at the next episode of the Kindness Project. Sequel. Bye.